All right. Welcome back. This is KUTV Biashara Tuesday, and right now it's a conversation on Biashara Tuesday, and it's a conversation on newspaper review. We've had very interesting conversations, women making it in business, young people making it in business, and also making it in the education sector. That is in matters PhDs, masters, and if you've heard what we've had before this conversation, you realize that we were told that the bare minimum is masters. That is the bare minimum. So right now, let's get to a discussion on the state of the nation, the newspaper review. We have several papers with us here. Time is not really on our side this morning, but I'd like us to go quickly. Before I do that, before we get into these papers, I'd like my guests to introduce themselves. Let me begin from my near right. That is a very honored Jwang Mariam.
Asante sana. Good morning. I hope you are well. Kwanza wewe nimeona you are so happy, you've been inspired na your story ya thesis, and I've been inspired to looking at the newspaper today. Apart from UDA Raila MP's meeting fallout, hapo juu naona the future, how it looks for these youngsters who are now millionaires. Naangalia hawa players, naona maboyu wa ghetto wenye all they had to do was to step in more international sports center, do what they love, and they have the first million. Then they have another 2.5 million. And then one of the people I'm seeing here, anaitwa Baba, anawaongeza 500k. These are already millionaires. Off the air tumetoka kuongea na conversation about how I must become a billionaire. And I'm looking at these youngsters today being on Biashara Tuesday. 10 years from now, we will have billionaires from the pool of Harambee stars who are here. But in those 10 years, bado unaweza sikia kati yao tukiwa na msee anasema manze natafuta donation ya balls 2 nikapeleke kwa society yetu. Because it's a matter of mindset. I'm very happy to be here today, na niko tayari tuchambue magazeti, telling Kenyans what's happening in the country. Kabisa.
Tushaanza kuichambua. I had someone saying, aliulizwa, what are you doing with the 2.5 million? Akasema investing. Akaulizwa investing in what? Akasema, businesses. And I was like,
Kuna mwingine aliulizwa na a lady journalist, as you nitumie punch. Akamuuliza, nakutumia punch aje na mimi ni millionaire. Ongeza 1000 zingine 2 ikuwe 5k. Ndio nikajiuliza, how many other people, ikiwa huyu ni mmoja, how many other people watapatana na hao na warushie kaki.
Exactly.
10 years nataka kuangalia these millionaires that we've made in 2025 watakuwa wapi, because the future is so bright.
I hope we don't get to that point. Now, Edwin, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. This time is for you to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm very much happy for this day, for this Tuesday, because it is a Biashara Tuesday and it's all about business. And so my name is Edwin, as Oiko. You're the leader and the managing director for Oiko General Supplies and Communication Consultancy.
Thank you so much. I love it when the young people are, entrepreneurial and they are leading in spaces.
He has not said he's coming from the community of Roysambu, especially Roysambu ward.
So this morning, ini show ya watu wa Roysambu.
Sijasema hivyo.
All right. indirectly, because I also come from Zimmerman. Anyway, let's get to the dailies. And we are having a conversation. I love for us to combine topics here because time is not really on our side. So, sorry. So the Daily Nation, we have UDA Raila MP's meeting fallout. And that is in relation to a meeting we had yesterday. And the router that we have there is the inaugural joint meeting of ruling coalition and ODM MPs was marred by controversy after President Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga put lawmakers on the defensive. The president, for the third time, publicly condemned the bribery in parliament, vowing to have corrupt MPs arrested, while Raila insisted legislators shouldn't run CDF kitty. With the poisoned environment, the forum ended prematurely. The same story, but on a different tone, on the Standard, worst ever speakers. That is the topic on the Standard. And they're saying President William Ruto has once again broken his silence to lash out at Parliament, where the leadership of Moses Wetangula and Amason Kingi is coming under sharp scrutiny. The two speakers stand accused of abandoning impartiality, presiding over corruption, tainted chambers, and surrendering the House to the highest bidder. Far from defending the people they represent, critics say Wetangula and Kingi are fast cementing their place among the most underwhelming speakers in Kenya's history. Quite bold. That is the standard. And all these conversations are centered around the relationship between UDA and ODM. Yesterday we had our reporters going to town to ask Kenyans what they think about this UDA ODM pact. I think we'll get to listen to that story in a bit.
President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga co-chaired a joint parliamentary group meeting held in Karen. The meeting brought together lawmakers from UDA and ODM to advance their memorandum of understanding, signaling a commitment to closer collaboration between the two parties. However, despite this high-profile show of unity, a majority of Kenyans remain unconvinced that the coalition will yield significant benefits for the country.
Nasema UDA na ODM kuungana ni mchezo tu wa town kwa sababu wao wanajaribu kujitakia mazuri, lakini kulingana na mimi hakuna kitu cha maana ambacho wanafanya. Ni ile kuungana waendelee kujinufaisha wao wenyewe, si eti wanasaidia wananchi. Wao wanaungana, wanajinufaisha, they're sharing the resources to themselves.
The unity gesture was overshadowed by the absence of ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and MP Babu Owino, underscoring internal divisions within the ODM over the partnership with UDA. Last year, ODM had already contributed experts, including Treasury CS John Badi, to assist UDA in running the government more efficiently. While this cooperation showed a pragmatic approach to governance, concerns remain about the coalition's cohesion and long-term success.
Because the constitution guarantees like everybody in our country should get equal resources. But saa hii unaona kama rais anaenda huko Nyanza, huko Homa Bay, Kisumu, anapeana vitu huko. And then what about hizi sehemu zingine za nchi? Kwa sababu hawamuungi mkono, sasa hawatapata kitu chochote. Kwa hivyo ni kinyume na sheria kabisa vitu yenye wanafanya. Hiyo miungano yao honestly ni kitu ambayo haifurahishi kabisa. Wanastahili kufanya wananchi kazi, si mambo na miungano.
Many Kenyans remain skeptical, claiming that the political alliances serve the interest of the political class rather than the nation. A significant number believe that this partnership will make little difference in addressing the country's pressing challenges.
Because this coalitions has been there in the past. And the greatest need of our nation today and every individual is a change of heart. Because however much they can merge together, and they don't have the best interests in this country, because coalition has been there in the past. We have had too much of it.
Ruling party UDA has today cemented their partnership with party ODM. However, majority of the Kenyans have expressed their dissatisfaction, claiming that the political class is only after their own gain. Glory Kadure, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now, a lot is going on. So do you agree with Kenyans that hii ni mchezo ya town? Let me begin with you, Joan.
Kitu cha kwanza that I love and I'm so happy about is the civic awareness the citizens of Kenya have. Kitambo, if you could play the bites za news za kitambo, they were mad with Serikali saidia, Serikali saidia, until the then President Kibaki asked them, hadi lini ndo utasema serikali saidia? When will you do the reverse? Today, the conversation on such bites being done by the same citizen are starting with katiba yetu inasema, sheria yetu inasema, viongozi wanafaa kufanya. I love that. And these Kenyans are not bad in, they are not bad in being skeptical. It's because they've seen promises. There is one from Mrima who is talking about coalitions and how coalitions have been there year in, year out. But our leaders don't have a change of heart. They just read, but they don't have a change of heart. What is change of heart? Change of heart is you reading a Bible and saying, from today, I proclaim Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Change is you reading the Quran and saying, from today, in the name of Allah, I am changed. We have a constitution that is changing everyone, I think, except the politicians themselves. Only the environment is changing, but themselves, they are not changing. So yesterday, and I said during Art and Culture Monday that the meeting was going to happen, according to Junet Mohammed, the Member of Parliament for Suna East, it was to come and write plans za kupeleka serikali mbele. Yet we have an ADCO report, we have a committee, we have 10-point agenda, we have a committee, zinashughulikia hizi vitu mbili. So yesterday, one of the things zenye zilitoka kutoka kwa hiyo meeting was, these two joint parliamentary groups need to go for a retreat. And it will be planned in months to come.
All right.
That is what huyo kijana anasema. They are just serving their interests. Hizi zingine zote zinakuwa ni story.
All right. Now, yesterday, Edwin, we saw Ruto say that hata kama Raila angeshinda, angefanya the same thing yenye yeye amefanya. And if we look at the Star, that is on page, I think 5, where they are saying they are rewiring this conversation to Ruto rewinds his 2022 hustler script for 2027 election campaign, and they're likening this change to, you know, ata Raila angeshinda, we could have this, you know, broad-based movement. He could go to get his opponents so that they form one coalition. And we've seen rifts with the members of parliament. We've seen rifts with the party members. And right now we are seeing the public outrage. So what do you make of this?
Okay, that saying that is Raila angeshinda, he will have done what Ruto is doing now. But if you look at the politics of Raila and Ruto, they are two different things. Raila is a reformist, and Ruto is a democratic person. But how serious is he that if Raila was the president, he would have done what Ruto is doing? One thing, Ruto rejected BBI, that is during the handshake, and because of rejecting that BBI, which had the youth commission and youth policies, then we saw the youth uprising. That is the choices that Ruto made, they came back to him while he is now the president, because the Gen Z uprose and they complained and they made their voices to be heard. But if Raila was the one who was on that position, that could not have happened, because he was the one who suggested for the youth commission. So Ruto saying that if Raila was the president, he would have done what he's doing. No, if Raila was the president, he would have done better than Ruto. That's where the difference is.
All right.
I agree on, he would have called him. Yeah, because they are same monkeys, same tree. In the year 2005, ODM is formed, and William Ruto is part of ODM.
In fact, right now, he always refer to ODM as my former party.
When he's giving threats to the current SG, he tells him, I'm one of the founding members, and I can call them to kushughulikia wewe. So it's still ODM. Chenye mimi I still believe would have been different is the kind of leadership we have. If Baba would have taken it being a reformist, nani kitu ameishi kutamani sana, he would have tried to rewrite a legacy. Right now, I feel he works from the emotions of, I've tried so much to fight for this country, and this country doesn't want me. So let me find something for myself. And that's why he wants, then he doesn't care if ODM breaks or not. Because ODM lacking Sifuna in a parliamentary group, ODM lacking Babu Owino in a parliamentary group is a message that can only be understood by the elites of this country. Because mtu hapa chini bado atauziwa hao watu nini wataki. ni pesa hawataki ama maendeleo hawataki.
Is it a message or strategy? Because in politics there is no coincidences.
There are no
And also-
coincidences.
You see, first thing in ODM, there is a message that people have not understood. The current party leader in ODM is Anyang' Nyong'o, I guess. That's the current party leader.
On paper.
Yeah, on paper. That means he's in charge of ODM. Then Sifuna is the SG. But in ODM, we have two sides. One side saying the other, and the other side saying the other things. Like Sifuna is the Secretary General, and the Secretary General is a spokesperson of that organization. Yeah. Then we have those, they say, experts that were given to President Ruto to work for him. If you look at those two factions, yeah, each faction has its own statement and its own belief. But one thing we know is that ODM itself, it has a plan, but we don't know which plan it is, because Baba is the master plan of everything.
Sisi tutenge. All right, and it's very interesting because if I saw someone who really disliked Ruto tell me that, you know, ni kama nitavotia Ruto. And I asked kwa nini? Ati si baba akisema. And I'm like, okay, we are a confused nation. Now let's move to a different topic. The Star has Auditor General saying that political parties are wasting millions. And this is someone who has been fought for a long time. That story is on the Star on page 7. They say inaccurate record keeping, unsupported expenditures, and systemic failures among other cited challenges. This is a time when everyone is coming up with a party. Okay, literally not everyone, but we've seen so many parties coming up. In fact, hata Babu, you know what, you should get your own party. So we are seeing very many political parties coming out. So what do you make of this report? Are these political parties really formed to you know, with agendas, or they're just parties formed to siphon money, according to Auditor General?
There are a number of reasons why people form political parties. People don't necessarily form political parties so that their party leaders can become president. Otherwise, Dr. Kuru Okot would not have formed the Third Way Alliance, because he was supposed to know by then, ikiwa mimi si muongelelei yeye kuwa president, he wouldn't have become a president. Mtu mwenye utasikia ni president hata mimi namjua. Kama simjui yeye hawezi kuwa president hapa Kenya. The other reason people huwa wanafungua vyama is because they want to source for funds abroad. Today you will hear that the Wiper Party just stays in a comfort zone because they know there are some party members from abroad who will channel in something. The same case is happening to the NAC Party of Kenya, to a point that it is dying. They've tried even rebranding to PLP, but today I can tell you youths that I knew are foot soldiers of NAC Party of Kenya that belongs to Madam Martha Karua are crumbling in DCP. Not because they are there because they want to, just because they feel they are not at home in the new PLP. So what would you say is the purpose of that party? How are you telling me that this party will make someone a president, yet the youth who are the future are leaving that party? Another reason why people form parties, they want to form parties so that their community can have a voice. You will hear them say, UDA ni chama cha wakale. You will hear others say, na by the way, I've heard even Gaucho say this, that by the way, chama cha ODM ni chetu. When he says ni chetu, he means Wajaluo, trying like to tell off the SG who is a Luya. So some parties are formed so that the communities can have voices. The PA of Pwani, they formed the PA so that they can feel tunataka kabasi ketu kakuenda pale hivyo kupigania hizi vitu kubwa kubwa, of which ya wadilifu dafu. That is why he's on the standard as speaker. Shida ni imeandikwa worst speakers. Unaona? So there are very many reasons people form these parties, but kufyonza pesa si one of them, because imeshindwa kuwork. We were supposed to have a party in this country called Inject Party. Huyo kijana alipigwa sana. Hakuna party kama hiyo. I've been following up to know what happened to that party. That party, by the order of ORPP, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, did not sail through. And they said that there was no way people under the age of 35 can have their own party bila wazee. That was one reason. Sasa kwa nini vijana watafanyiwa hivyo na ni mwenye na asajili vyama ndo anafaa kutupea sisi chance? Vile communities zingine zinaweza pewa chance, haya basi kueni party yenyu, sisi tufanye the same. Parties kitambo hazikuwa zinaformiwa hivyo. From the days of EAA akina Hari Thuku wakiform hizi vitu, ilikuwa ni sisi tunataka ka voice ketu kanasonga. That's how even tulipata vitu kama kotu at one point hata wakataka wanaweza sema hii kotu itapeleka watu bunge, itapeleka na ikuwe party. You are supposed to be free. You're supposed to be free. Nashangaa sana hadi tukisema that the current president are democratic, yet hafuati the rule of democracy that says majority must have their way as the minority have their say. Yeye anapeaga majority their say na minority wanakula their way.
All right. Now, Edwin, what do you make of these stories around political parties?
You see, in Kenya, political parties are used as a tool of negotiation during campaigns. And most of the times we see that these political parties are being portrayed as tribalist, which is under violations of Article 27, discrimination, under race and all that. But how can we change that norm that political parties are not used as tools of tribalism or channels of making our campaigns in politics have making our campaign in politics that is differ from other countries? Because when you see countries such as South Africa and that the same country that the president keeps on saying, Singapore, the politics and the political parties are not under or do not face violations of discrimination. Their political parties work under values and let's say customs and developmental agendas. But in our country, we see that most of the political parties, each political party represents a certain region. You see, like for example, the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua being referred to as a tribalist because of saying the Mount Kenya thing. But in Kenya we have so many regions. We have Nyanza, we have Rift Valley, we have Mount Kenya, we have. But when Gachagua keeps on being proud, that is pride comes before fall. Being proud of being a Mount Kenya person, it's good because he's proud of where he has come from. But according to these other regions now, the political big wins from these other regions, instead of them being proud of their own regions, now they are discriminating Gachagua that is being tribal because of saying he's from Mount Kenya. Then if you come to these the register of political parties, when they refuse to register the Gen Z's political party and saying that the Gen Z's should have that is older members in their parties. Of course, it's good to have people who can advise the young people about how they are going to run the party, but as well that was again discrimination because they discriminated us as young people that we cannot run our own party or our own political party because they don't believe that we have the values and we believe the beliefs and missions of advocacy or implementing agendas that can help the country. Because at a times when a child grows up, it reaches a time that the child now becomes part of the discussion table, not being discussed about or being talked to. Because at a certain age now, the child will require to discuss with the father to know whether if there is what he wants, development, or the way further with the family and how he's going to integrate himself as an adult. But when the register of political parties refuse the Gen Z, now that they're still saying that you're still young, you have to maintain until you're up about 35 and above, and that is discrimination.
All right. So you are saying that people are not proud of their regions.
Yeah, people are not proud of their regions because when I'm saying, let me say, for example, I'm from Kisii. If I say Sisi, they are Bagusi, I'm proud of Abagusi because, after all, it is my identity as a Kenyan. And there was a campaign that is an organization that runs identity campaign. I think they should advance because we are supposed to be proud of our identity because I'm a Kenyan, yes, but what identifies me as a Kenyan? Which Kenyan am I? I'm a Kisii, a Bagusi, so I'm a Bagusi and I'm a Kenyan. That is my identity as a Kenyan. Everyone.
Don't you think that will fuel tribal politics in the country, because if everyone identifies himself, the only reason why the Gen Z protest was successfully massive was because we were tribeless.
You see, when you bring the word tribalism or tribal in politics, it is the same as saying black or white, mzungu, mwafrika. You see, because the word tribe itself, that's where now the discrimination becomes in. It's like saying when mdogo, when mkubwa. But if you agree that there's nothing like tribalism, what we have is communities. Yeah, there's this community, and there's this community. So when you say that there's tribal, that's not a good way to put it, because this is a certain community that has its own identification as a certain community. Instead of calling them tribalism, we should advance them. We should make them understand, or we should create community welfare avenues. Or let me say, some countries like Sri Lanka, they did it. They brought about community liaison boards. When community liaison boards were brought in Sri Lanka. So if you see community liaison board, that means that one thing that Sri Lanka was fighting is tribalism. Bringing all communities on board and everybody accepting that they're from this region and that is the identity, but that is not tribalism. That is, if you put that as a tribalism, that is discrimination under Article 27.
All right, that is a very interesting topic. Ojwang, do you have a comment?
Exactly, I have a comment. I keep saying the reason we are Kenya is because we are a nation of many communities who have sat down and decided we want to be identified as Kenya. Not identified by our skin color, because all of us are black and we put that as our first color. Another thing that makes us Kenya, irrespective of you being Sylvia Nyango and I coming from a different community and this Abagusi, is the blood that our forefathers shed when they were fighting for a republic called Kenya. All these communities, we are also aware of our boundaries, the green boundary. Na ndio maana unasikiaga tukijam sana kusikia Wasomali wameiba maji sijui wapi kule hivyo. Kitu inatupeleka inatufanya mpaka the former president anaingia UN kusema hapana, because we know that tulikuwaga na hizi vita side za Uganda na Tanzania when they were doing the boundaries before Lake Victoria ikae mahali iko saa hii, kulikuwaga na hizi vita. There was a time president from Uganda, his name is Idi Amin, had said Milton Obote that sasa ni mnoma sana, anataka kubeba kapatika Kenya. Mzee by then Jomo Kenyatta akamwambia, please, and I'm begging you, please, usiende mbali, ingia hapo Homa Bay ama Siaya, kata kadogo, kuna migingo, kata kamigingo kadogo. Alishindwa. Go on with that history, follow it. Even Museveni alishindwa. Leo hii, if you want to try to touch Kenya, guza migingo. Uko juu ndo kuna shida. Na kwa nini kuna shida? Juu ya viongozi wetu wanaingia huko juu, wanapiga deals na militia, and then our militia wanatukuta huku, wanaanza kutuua. You will hear of another day when Turkana people were ambushed, 20 of them were killed, not by the people from Kenya, watu kutoka hapo juu. Na ndio maana tunakuaga hadi na jeshi. Nyinyi Waluo mtoe watu sacrifice wakuja waingie jeshi. Nyinyi Abagusi mtoe watu waingie jeshi. Wakikuyu wale wengine the same. Ndo tujilindie haka kaboda kanchi tunaita Kenya. But which Kenyan are you? You are the Anyango Kenyan. You are the Oiko Kenyan. I am the Maina Kenyan who refused to be a Maina and became Ojwang Mariam. I'm supposed to have a daughter to be called Nyakenywa, but I refused that, so she is Melissa Mariam, to be identified as a Kenyan. Yeye ajione kama Kenya. Mimi napendaga kusema huyu ni ndugu yangu wa Kikenya, but najua mimi na huyu hatutaki kuwa the same. Huyu ni Abagusi na ako na beliefs na vitu zao. Niko na best yangu mwingine mnoma wa Saidi ya Kisii anaitwa Okenye, and we keep even joking about night runners. Na hiyo courage ya unatokea tu hivi unakimbia But that has never made me see him different. I see him as my brother. Tuko na wengine kaa kina Boni. Sometimes I'm even confused. I talk to Boni in Kikuyu. Ndo tunakumbuka, oh, Gathe, wewe ni wa ile side ingine, you are Odhiambo. And that makes us different. That's why we are powerful. Baghdad are countries that have been inspired by us. Burkina Faso by us. The whole world calls the capital of Africa Kenya. Kwa sababu ya umoja wetu.
All right. Now, I'd like for us, because time is imesonga, to pick a story each that will serve as our last comment on the newspapers. So, you have the Daily Nation. Edwin has the Standard. So, pick a story on each of the newspaper, one story, and that story will serve as our closing remarks. Let me begin with you, Ojong.
Okay. I'm taking the story on Daily Nation. It is on page 3. It is a story of a young Chinese boy.
Kenyan Chinese.
Lakini picha yenye iko pale hivyo naona Chinese. Man's search for Chinese father ends in sadness. When the reader gets this copy of Daily Nation, atasoma kuhusu vile huyu mtoto alikuwa 18 years in 2019 when he realized babake mwenye amekuwa akitafuta aliaga. Na huyu mtu hii maybe atatumia miaka ingine mingi ku get into terms with that.
The dad was actually deported.
Vitu mingi sana zimepitia huyo mtu hii. And I'm writing a book, Believe Become, because I believe in the power of self. Wewe mwenyewe, when you were born, it's someone who called you Sylvia and Anyango. You must get to know why. Vitu kama hizo zimesumbua huyu boy hadi akataka kujua about my father more, but sadly akakuwa ameaga. I speak as a voice of ghetto and I represent ghetto. Kila time nikiingia kwa community, kaa juzi nilikuwa Mr. and Miss Soweo, iko knows that. As a host, I sell the stories, the resilient stories of my people to the world. And that's why I'm grateful to Kenyatta University, because it gives me this platform to showcase where I've come from and what our people looks like. That we are all the same and equal to God. So, huyu kijana ako mahali ako trapped. Kuna watoto wengi sana wako trapped. Hawajui wazazi wao or vitu kama hizo. Ina hapa hivi Soweto kwa hiyo group ya Roysambu, you will find that watoto wengi wenye hawana baba zao ni wanajeshi. Wenye walikuwa wanajeshi kwa kambi and then wakapata watoto na wakaenda. Watoto kama hawa wako wengi sana in this community of Roysambu. Baba zao walikuwa wanatengeneza Thika Road, wakakuja wakapatana na maanti zetu huku hivi, alafu wakapata watoto kama huyu. It is very important for each parent to let their kids be aware by telling them where they came from. So that when they grow, they will not forget who they are as they are trying to search new identities. The reason we have people with identity crisis, it's because they don't know where they came from, so they don't know themselves.
All right, Edwin?
Yes. I'm going to pick on analysis, that is on counties starved of funds despite devolution promise. The counties are now they're the implementing factor of the Kenyan government projects on the people's level, that is on the lower level, through the counties and through the members of county assemblies. So these counties should be given funds, and apart from them given funds, these funds they should be oversighted in such that even if they're given these funds, they make sure that the funds they reach the lower level or the mwananchi part, that is the people under the ward levels. And then they should strengthen implementation of projects and public participation of local projects, that is on the ward levels. And apart from that, they should again devolve most of the functions, like for example the youth policies, so that if these youth policies are devolved to the ward level, apart from the county itself, and we can have budgets, that is youth budgets, also on the ward levels, so that we can now, because the youth are they have the bigger population, and because they have the bigger population now, if we devolve the youth functions to the ward level, That means that the youth will have an impact. That is, they will feel the impact of county development projects and the county development agendas.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning. On Biashara Tuesday, specifically newspaper review. And just to mention, we have 2 different stories on health. That is SHA. The Daily Nation are giving a negative story concerning SHA, saying patients stranded abroad after 30-day SHA pay freeze. Ailing Kenyans can't access Social Health Authority cash. And the Star has a different topic, a positive one, saying despite huge failures to some families, SHA is a God-sent lifeline. So we have those 2 diverging stories. And also a comment from KUTV's newsroom, and I'll not mention the person who said that, saying that Ruto is working. It's just that the propaganda is louder than the work that is being done. And just so you know, it's not Blue Smile. So, so that brings us to the end of newspaper review this morning. I hope to see you guys next week, same time, same place. It is bye from us.
And we are going to accumulate in